Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oluwadamise Atanda. To most people, I'm better known as K. I am the president of the Queensborough Student Government Association and a member of the Mock Trial Team. It is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to the 2012 Queensborough Community College Mock Republican Presidential Primary Debate. This activity is brought to you by the Department of Student Affairs in collaboration with Student Government Association and is featuring the college's distinguished mock trial team. An applause for the mock trial team, guys. This year is, of course, a very big election year. As we're all well aware, in November, voters across the United States will go to the polls to vote for their choice of President of the United States. Whatever our individual opinions and preferences may be, we can all agree that the outcome of this year's presidential election would have a big impact on our lives, on our nation, and in fact on the world. It is therefore of utmost importance that everyone who is able to vote exercises that privilege and votes for the candidate of his or her choice. In pursuance to that charge, the City University of New York, including our campus, Queensborough Community College, has undertaken the CUNY Vote campaign. We strongly urge everyone who has the right to vote to register to vote if you haven't already, and to vote. The debate this afternoon is being presented by the college's mock trial team. In existence for 5 years, they compete in the National Intercollegiate Undergraduate Mock Trial Tournament organized by the American Mock Trial Association, AMTA. This year, about 600 colleges and universities from across the nation competed in the AMTA tournament. Teams within the tournament compete by trying the same case. This year's case was a criminal case resulting from a car accident allegedly caused by a DUI. Students participate either as a witness or as a lawyer. As witnesses, they testify after studying detailed factual statements and exhibits. As lawyers, they present opening and closing statements, conduct direct and cross-examinations, and make and respond to evidentiary objections. All members are scored before a panel of real judges and real lawyers. This year, our team was one of only very few two-year colleges in the tournament. At the Philadelphia Regional Tournament, hosted by Drexel University, the Queensborough team was awarded the prestigious Spirit of AMTA Award. And over at the New Haven Regional Tournament, hosted by Yale University, Queensborough earned 2 out of the 10 Outstanding Witness Awards in the tournament. Unlike my speech today, mock trials are not scripted. They emphasize preparation from materials provided, analytical thinking, public speaking, and thinking on one's feet. Using these very same skills, our mock trial team will present today's mock Republican presidential primary debate featuring the 4 major candidates who are seeking the Republican nomination to run against current President Barack Obama, come November. Whether we may be Republicans, Democrats, or otherwise, we should all appreciate that this year's lively Republican primaries has captivated voters of all persuasions across our nation. I'm strongly of the opinion that a healthy intellectual disagreement or debate is good. So today, I implore each and every one of you to open your minds to hear, to enjoy, and educate yourselves. And now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the Vice President for Student Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, Vice President Helen Hartigan.
Thank you, Kay. Is this microphone on? Usually I don't need one, but I want to thank our students for being here this afternoon, and for those of you who are joining us from outside, from the community, or from CUNY and beyond, I want to welcome you to Queensborough Community College. As Kate just indicated moments ago, this is an excellent opportunity for all of us to learn a little bit more, for us to listen to people's points of view. And I want to stress once again today that we all have the right to share our points of view, but we must make sure that our candidates, our students rather, who are portraying our candidates, they are given the respect and the attention, and we listen to them as they so deserve. Now, another opportunity I have this afternoon is to introduce a person who has been here at the college, students, you should know this, for some 40 years. Less than 40, of course. She didn't begin when she was 10 years of age, but someone who oftentimes I like to say that I'm the chief advocate for students here at Queensborough, but I must tell you, the individual I'm about to introduce is truly the chief advocate for students here at our college, and it's my privilege and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Diane Cole, President of Queensborough Community College.
And I want to echo a welcome to each and every one of you to Queensborough and to this extraordinary experience, which was really initiated by our students. This is a very important part of a voter registration drive, which includes education, awareness of what we do in America. And for our students, so many of whom are immigrants, this is an extraordinary opportunity. We're so very proud of the students who have trained and practiced and for months now to really bring their skills and work with their faculty. We have faculty mentors who have been with them for months as well, and I have to say special thanks to all the faculty team who have made this a wonderful experience for our students. And I know that our students will make it a wonderful experience for you. Now, for those of you who are eligible but not registered to vote, there is an opportunity to register, sign up to be registered with the primaries in New York State. That's going on right up at the top, and I hope you can do that today if you haven't already. Vice President Hartigan referenced my age. Well, I will tell you that when I was 18, I could not vote because the voting age was 21. And at the time we were, unfortunately, in a war conflict. And people could be drafted, and they were, and they could die, and they did, at the age of 18, but they couldn't vote. And so you have an extraordinary opportunity to participate in our democracy and to affect change through education and through the vote. I hope you'll all take that opportunity, and I hope you'll all enjoy this wonderful debate portrayed by our students on behalf of the student government, the Department of Student Affairs, and all of our faculty. So welcome and enjoy the event.
Very much, Dr. Cole. Thank you very much. To you as well, Vice President Hartigan. And now, right into action, let me introduce the moderators of today's debate. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Owen Young and Ms. Helen Kwao.
Thank you. Welcome to the 2012 Republican debate at Queensborough Community College in Bayside, New York. My name is Helen Kwok, and with my co-colleague, Owen Young, we will be your moderators this evening.
Good afternoon, Queensborough Community College. All eyes tonight are on the presidential debate. It is the 27th Republican presidential debate, and this is for the campaigning for the nomination to face against President Barack Obama in the 2012 general presidential elections this November. For many years, we have not seen a Republican presidential primary season like the one we had this year.
Owen, you're absolutely correct. And in the eyes of the nations tonight are focused on the beautiful Queensborough Community College campus. And as the start of this debate, which just comes just weeks before the important New York primary debate on April 24th. It has been some years since the New York primary took place. This year, that is not the case because the Republican voters of New York will have a real choice.
Before we begin, we would like to thank President Diane Call and Vice President Ellen Hardigan for this gracious hospitality and making us very welcome in the most attractive campus in the heart of Queens, New York City. And now to the debate format.
A panel of distinguished journalists will be asking the candidates questions, and each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer. Although each candidate will not be given a formal time for rebuttal, but upon the request of the candidates would have 1 minute for rebuttal.
And now it is time to introduce our distinguished journalists. First, we have the chief political correspondent for WQCC Radio, a veteran of many elections and winner of the distinguished Edward R. Murrow Award for news coverage, Condola Singh.
Next, we have the chief White House correspondent of WQCC TV, prize-winning, winner of the 2 Emmy of her straightforward, hard-hitting political reporting, Julie Ann Belowski.
Our third distinguished journalist is none other than a Pulitzer Prize-winning, nationally syndicated political columnist whose column appeared in 132 newspapers across the nation, including the QCC Times, April Maroshik.
Finally, the next member of the panel is the creator of the political website, and that consistently, year after year, attracted more visitors than any other political website. We are, of course, talking about the QCCpolitical.com, created by the none other Ahmed Islam.
And now it is time to introduce the candidates. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney was born in Detroit. After graduating from Brigham Young University in 1971, he earned dual degrees from Harvard Law and Harvard Business School. Mitt is not a career politician. He has spent most of his life in the private sector. After working as a business consultant for several years, Mitt founded the investment firm Bain Capital in 1984. As Bain was growing in prominence, Mitt returned to his old consulting firm, Bain & Company, as CEO. Mitt was elected governor of Massachusetts in 2002 and served until 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Mitt Romney.
Secondly, I would like to introduce Newt Gingrich. Was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He realized the importance of understanding the past in order to protect our future. He immersed himself in the study of history, receiving a bachelor's degree from Emory University and a master's and doctorate in modern European history from Tulane University. Before his election in Congress in 1978, Newt taught history and environmental studies in West Georgia College for 8 years. He recently represented Georgia in Congress for 20 years, including 4 years as Speaker of the House. Please welcome Speaker Newt Gingrich.
Our third candidate is Rick Santorum. Born in Virginia, Rick Santorum was raised in Butler, Pennsylvania. He obtained an undergraduate degree from Pennsylvania State University, an MBA from the University of Pittsburgh, and a JD from Dickinson School of Law. Former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum of Pennsylvania was elected to the U.S. Senate, a U.S. House of Representatives, in 1990 at the age of 32. And from 1995 to 2007, he served as a U.S. Senator. In 2000, he was elected by his peers to the position of Senate Republican Conference Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Rick Santorum.
Our fourth candidate is Ron Paul. Ron Paul was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He graduated from Gettysburg College and Duke University School of Medicine. Before proudly serving as a flight surgeon in the U.S. Air Force during the 1960s, he moved to Texas in 1968. where he began his medical practice. He served in the Congress during the late 1970s to the early 1980s. Dr. Paul returned to Congress in 1997, represented the 14th Congressional District of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Ron Paul. I now ask that the journalists and the candidates please take your positions. And now each candidate will be given 1 minute to introduce themselves. Governor Mitt Romney.
Hello, everybody. I am Mitt Romney, former governor of Massachusetts. I would first like to thank Queensborough Community College, headed by Chancellor Matthew Goldstein and President Diane Call. Let's give her a round of applause. I'm very happy to be here at the campus of the City University of New York. I'm running for president to restore America's promise. There was a time in this country where you knew that if you worked hard and went to school and learned the values of America in your home, that you could count on having a secure life and a prosperous future. That was an American promise and has been broken by this president. I am running to restore that promise. Thank you.
Governor Newt Gingrich.
My name is Newt Gingrich. First, I want to thank our host, CUNY, and Queensborough Community College. I salute the President, Diane Call, and Vice President for Student Affairs, Ellen Hardigan, for the excellent college that you have here. I have heard tremendous things about Queensborough. I want to be your president. I have developed a program for American energy so that no future president will ever have to bow down to a Saudi king again. And so every American can look forward to a $2.50 a gallon of gasoline. Thank you.
Senator Rick Santorum.
Thank you, Lord. My name is Rick Santorum, former senator from the state of Pennsylvania. First, I also want to thank CUNY, Queensborough Community College, and President Call. I've heard great things about this college's business department under the leadership of Jonas Fallick. In particular, I know that you have an outstanding mock trial team. We have a lot of troubles around the world, with the Middle East and elsewhere, but what's going on in this country with the high prices of gasoline and the unstabilized economy. I'm here to talk about the solutions that could fix this problem with people from the bottom up. Thank you.
Congressman Ron Paul.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. My name is Ron Paul. First, I would also like to thank our host, CUNY, Queensborough Community College, and President Call for having us. I have heard exceptional things about this college's business department under the leadership of Dr. Jonas Fallick. As well, I have heard great things about this college's Fed Challenge team. Why? I am very interested in this Fed Challenge team because I believe the Federal Reserve is a real challenge. I am a congressman from Texas. I am the defender of the Constitution. I am the champion of liberty. And this is the roadmap to peace and prosperity. Thank you.
We are now ready to begin with the questions. Our first question will be asked by Condola and is directed to Mr. Romney first.
Before starting, I am really honored to be here today with this great panel. I would like to give out thanks to QCC for allowing me to take part in this great debate. And now we will begin the debate. there are many difficult and challenging issues facing our nation today. Yet, polls consistently show that first and foremost on the minds of most Americans has been and continues to be the economy. To those in our nation who today are facing tough times as our nation struggles to regain the economic strength it had in the years prior to the Great Recession, what do you say that you, as president, would do to get our economy back to where it was?
Thank you, Condola, for asking me the first question. And once again, I'd like to thank Queensborough Community College. First, we have to start off with the size of our federal government. The size of our federal government has put our nation on an unsustainable course. Yearly deficits have been massive, and spending has grown out of control. As president, I will cut federal spending and regulation and also bring much-needed reforms to Medicare and Social Security. I will work towards balancing the budget, reducing the size of the federal government, and bringing money back to the states and to the people where it belongs. And I have a plan for that. On my first day in office, I will submit a jobs package containing 5 major proposals. Of those 5, I believe the most important is 1, the American Competitiveness Act. We need to reduce the corporate income tax from 35% to about 20%, where it should be. We need to pass the Retraining Reform Act, which will consolidate the sprawl of federal retraining program and once again, bring money back to the states where it belongs. We need to pass the Down Payment on Fiscal Sanity Act, which will immediately cut non-discretionary spending by 5% and reduce the annual federal budget by $20 billion. And also, on my first day of presidency, I will pass 5 executive orders, and one of them is to repeal Obamacare. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you. America only works when Americans are working. We need to stop the 2013 tax increase and to promote stability in the economy. We need to strengthen the dollar by returning to the Reagan-era monetary policies that stopped runaway inflation and reforming the Federal Reserve to promote transparency. We need to repeal and replace Obamacare that started with Romney Care with a pro-jobs, pro-responsibility health plan that puts doctors and patients in charge of the health decisions instead of bureaucrats. We need to instill a fundamental reform of entitlement programs with the help and the advice of the American people. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. There are many challenging issues facing our nation, but what we need to do is unleash America's energy. I plan on approving the Keystone pipelines for jobs and energy security. We need to put a stop to job-killing regulations. The first process is eliminating all regulations proposed by the Obama administration, which have an economic burden over $100 million. We need to repeal EPA's rules on CO2 emissions. This will increase the power and will reduce the cost. We need to rein in spending to secure our future. I'll propose spending cuts of $5 trillion in the course of 5 years, and that still includes the remainder of year 2013. We need to repeal Obamacare. I'll work with Congress to replace Obamacare so we can limit and improve the quality of health care while still protecting those with uninsurable health conditions. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to respond to that as well?
Yes, thank you, Owen. As president, I will lead the way out of this crisis. I will lead the way out of this crisis by vetoing any unbalanced budget that Congress sends to my desk, by fighting to fully audit and then end the Federal Reserve System, which enables the over 95% reduction of what our dollar can buy and continues to create money out of thin air to finance future debt. We will legalize sound money so the government is forced to get serious about the dollar's value. We will end the corporate subsidies and end the corporate stranglehold on the White House. We will drive down gas prices by allowing offshore drilling. We will increase the mileage reimbursement rates and offer taxes to individuals and businesses for the use and production of natural gas vehicles. We will eliminate the income, capital gains, and death taxes to ensure you keep more of your hard-earned money. These are just a few of the steps we can take to put America back into place as the world's leading economy. America needs a president who is not afraid to make the tough decisions necessary to restore America's economy and guarantee future prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and before we go on to the second question, I would like to respond to Speaker Gingrich.
You may proceed.
Thank you. In regards to Romney Care, as Speaker Gingrich calls it, that was an individual mandate that I passed in Massachusetts, which was a 200-page mandate. Obamacare is a 2,000-page mandate, which I plan to repeal during my first year as president. In regards to Newt Gingrich, he is not fit to be president because he was solely responsible. He was not solely responsible. He was part of the financial crisis of 2008 because he took $1.6 million from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Thank you.
Owen, may I have a chance to respond?
Yes.
What Governor Romney has said is a big misconception about me. Thank you.
Our second question will be asked by the WQCC TV chief political correspondent of the White House, at the White House, Julie. This question will be directed towards Speaker Newt Gingrich first.
I would like to say thank you, Queensborough, for letting me be here. And this is directed to Speaker Gingrich. This year, we all face the great struggle in Congress over the issue of increasing our nation's debt ceiling. Our national debt is approximately $15.5 trillion. This equates to the debt of more than $136,743 for each taxpayer. How would you, as president, solve this problem?
Thank you, Julie. As president, I would implement an American energy policy. I would balance the budget as I did when I was Speaker of the House. I would repeal and replace Obamacare. I would instill a fundamental reform of entitlement programs. Now, the static 20th century entitlement and welfare model is undeniably failing, and Americans should no longer tolerate it. There are three radical divergent paths we can take today. The fantasy path that maintains nothing is wrong. The austerity path that concedes the best days are behind us. And finally, the Gingrich growth and innovation plan that rejects the first two previous notions and attests that incremental change is not enough to meet our current challenges. Growth and innovation means strengthening and securing Social Security. Growth and innovation means liberating the poor from the trap of the welfare empire through new programs that promote work and lifelong study. Growth and innovation means rejecting the centralized control and rationing of Obamacare and creating a broad patient power system. Growth and innovation means creating options beyond the current Medicare system for our American seniors. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. Yes, we all have witnessed a great struggle in Congress over our nation's debt ceiling. But I have a bold economic plan that will move our country forward. It's a plan that will create jobs, renew confidence in the free marketplace, and reward hard-working families in America. It's a plan that will cut spending and ensure future fiscal responsibility through a balanced budget amendment. First, I will cut spending by $5 trillion in the course of 5 years. Replace Obamacare and other burdensome regulations and bring non-defense spending to 2008 levels. We will pass a balanced budget amendment to limit federal spending and bring it to a maximum of 18% gross domestic product. I also will eliminate Fannie Mae's and Freddie Mac's federal housing role. We need to stop this spending and balance the budget in our economy. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to respond to that question as well?
Yes, thank you. My colleague just mentioned balancing the budget. I am the only candidate here who does not just talk about balancing the budget, but has a full plan to do so. We need to cut $1 trillion in spending during the first year of my presidency, eliminating 5 cabinet departments: energy, HUD, commerce, interior, and education. We need to abolish corporate subsidies, stop foreign aid, and end foreign wars. Return most other spending to 2006 levels. We need entitlements that honor our promise to our seniors and our veterans, while allowing young workers to opt out. We must block grant Medicaid and other welfare programs to allow states the flexibility and ingenuity they need to solve their own unique problems without harming those currently relying on the programs. We need to cut government waste, which makes 10% reduction in the federal workforce. We need to slash congressional pay and perks, curb excessive federal travel. To stand with America, with the American people, I will take a salary of $39,336, approximately equal to the median personal income of the American worker. Thank you.
Governor Romney, would you like to respond to that question?
Thank you, Owen. Excessive government spending is hurting the marketplace and creating high levels of uncertainty. As president, in regards to every federal government program that we have, I will ask one simple question. Is it worth borrowing money from China to pay for it? The Obama administration in 2010 spent $3.6 trillion in regards to the federal government. In 2020, that number is seen to be projected at $5.6 trillion. We need to solve our nation's tax problem, and one way of doing that is by repealing Obamacare, which will save us $95 billion. We need to privatize Amtrak, which will save us $1.6 billion. And we need to eliminate Title X family planning funding for companies that provide abortions, such as Planned Parenthood. These are 3 simple ways to reduce our deficit, and that is what I will do as President of the United States. Thank you.
Our third question will be asked by April and will be first directed to Mr. Santorum.
First off, I would like to thank Queensborough Community College for allowing me to be a part of this today. There are those who say our federal income tax system, which we can all agree is incredibly complex, is unfair and broken. Some point to the fact that in 2011, according to the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center in Washington, D.C., 46% of Americans who filed a federal income tax return owed no federal income tax. Others point to the fact that many millionaire taxpayers pay income taxes at a lower rate than many middle-class Americans. How can we fix our national tax system?
Thank you, April. I appreciate the question. Yes, our federal income tax system is undeniably unfair and broken. But I am committed to reviving our economy, restoring growth, and creating jobs in America through lower and simpler tax rates for America's workers and businesses. My solution can bridge this gap. First, I want to cut and simplify personal income tax by just 2 brackets, a 10% and a 28%, and return back to Reagan pro-growth tax rate. We need to simplify the tax for middle income taxpayers by reducing the alternative minimum tax. We can reduce taxes by tripling the deduction for each child. We can retain taxes and retain deductions for charitable givings, home mortgage interests, retirement savings, as well as children. We need to keep the business in America. We can cut the corporate income tax in half, bringing it to 17.5%, making our business in America much more competitive. My goal for this economy
is for it to be growing at least 4 to 4.5% as my first term as president. That's more than double President Obama's. And by one estimate, that can help create 10 million jobs in 3 years. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you. The truth is, you need to keep more of your money. The power to tax is the power to destroy, which is why I will never support higher taxes. Our national debt is currently $14 trillion, with the government spending nearly $2 trillion more per year than it collects. The American people should not have to pay for Washington's reckless and out-of-control appetite for debt. High taxes stifle innovation, destroy production. They crush the middle class and the poor, and discourage investment. Every single American is entitled to the fruits of his labor, especially during these tough economic years. Lowering taxes will leave you more money to take care of you and your family. And it will allow businesses greater opportunities to hire new workers, increase salaries, and expand their companies. And as president, I will support a liberty amendment to the Constitution to abolish the income and death taxes. I will be proud to be the one who finally turns off the lights at the IRS for good. Thank you.
Governor Romney, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Owen. Unlike President Obama, I believe that spending money and raising taxes is not the way to improve our economy. We must fix our nation's tax code to focus on jobs and growth, both on the individual and corporate level. To repair the nation's tax code, marginal rates must be brought down to stimulate entrepreneurship, job creation, and investment. And as a former member of the private sector, I know how to do this. As far as the corporate tax rate goes, it's at 35%, which is the highest in all industrialized countries. We need to bring that down, as I and Senator Santorum have said, to around 20%. And as far as individuals go, we need to make permanent, across the board, 20% cuts in marginal rates. We need to maintain current tax rates on investments, dividends, and capital gains. And we need to eliminate taxes for taxpayers with adjusted gross income below $250,000. And as Congressman Paul said, we need to eliminate the death tax and repeal the alternative minimum tax. And no discussion of tax policies would be complete without a reference to Obamacare and its $500 billion in tax increases. That money needs to get out of the federal government and come back to where it belongs, to the states and to the people. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes. We can fix our national tax system by stopping the 2013 tax increase. We need to make the United States the most desirable location for new business through a bold series of tax cuts, eliminating the capital gain tax to make American entrepreneurs more competitive against those in other countries, which would dramatically reduce the corporate income tax, among the highest in the world, to 12.5%, allowing for 100% expensing of new equipment to spur innovation and American manufacturing, ending the death tax permanently. We should move towards an optional flat tax of 15%, allowing Americans to file their taxes on a postcard, saving hundreds of billions of costs each year. This optional flat tax system will preserve deductions on charitable giving and home ownership, and create a new personal deduction of $12,000 for every American. Thank you.
Our fourth question will be asked by the creator of QCCpolitical.com, Ahmed. This question will go to Congressman Paul first.
As mentioned before, I'm from QCCpolitical.com.
Enormous thanks to Queensborough Community College of the City University of New York. It's an absolute honor for me to be here today, and my question is regarding the gasoline prices. As we hold this debate this afternoon, Americans throughout our nation are struggling to pay more than $4 per gallon for gasoline. We hear countless stories of how these high gasoline prices impact the lives of ordinary people. As president, what would your energy policy be?
Thank you. The free market and not the government is the solution to America's energy needs. Unfortunately, decades of misguided federal action have helped lead to skyrocketing fuel prices, making it even more difficult for the hardworking American families to make ends meet. In fact, much of the pain at the pump Americans are now feeling is due to federal policies designed by environmental alarmists to punish traditional energy needs. Energy production like oil, coal, and natural gas, in hopes of making energy sources they favor more economical. Sadly, even with $4 a gallon gasoline, many are attempting to make our energy crisis even worse by working to impose job-destroying carbon taxes or a cap-and-tax system. As long as we follow federal regulations and bureaucratic red tape to get in the way of energy exploration, our country will never solve its energy crisis, and Americans will continue to pay high prices. As president, I will lead the fight to remove restrictions on drilling so companies can tap into the vast amount of oil we have here at home, and also to repeal the federal tax on gasoline. Thank you.
Governor Romney, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you, Owen. Before mentioning my energy policy, we need to speak on the Obama administration's energy policy, which has been simply incoherent. For instance, it has blocked offshore drilling in U.S. waters while applauding increased drilling efforts off the coast of Brazil. Similarly, it has blocked construction of the Keystone Pipeline, knowing well that the result would have been Canadian oil flowing from Canada to the U.S. and thousands of jobs for U.S. citizens everywhere. The green technologies are typically far too expensive to compete in the marketplace. By green jobs, I mean the green jobs that President Obama is trying to restore. Studies have shown that for every green job created, there are actually more jobs destroyed. As president, I will make every effort to safeguard the environment, but I will look out every step of the way for protecting the jobs of American workers. This will require putting conservative principles into action. I want to remind the American people that gas is at $4 a gallon and unemployment is at 8.3%. As president, on day one, I will sign the Keystone Pipeline into effect and create jobs and give us better energy resources. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes. As I said before, my goal as president was to get gas prices down to $2.50 a gallon. Contrary to popular belief, America has more energy than any nation on earth. All that's keeping us from being energy independent is the lack of political will to do so. But I have a plan. First, we need to remove bureaucratic and illegal obstacles to responsible oil and natural gas development in the United States, offshore and on land. Second, we need to end the ban on shale oil development in the American West. We need to give federal states federal royalty revenue sharing to give them an incentive to allow offshore development. We need to reduce frivolous lawsuits that hold up energy production by enacting a loser pays laws to force losers in an environmental lawsuit to pay all costs for the other side. We need more cleaner energy research and projects. We need to replace the Environmental Protection Agency with an Environmental Solution Agency to achieve better outcomes. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. These high prices of gasoline are just unacceptable. and they do impact the lives of ordinary people. We must employ a policy that makes energy more affordable, makes our nation more secure by lessening the dependence on unreliable foreign sources. An effective energy policy will expand economic development and create high-quality jobs, resulting in a stronger economy for America's families as well as the workers. First, I want to create energy and independence so we don't have to rely on those adversarial nations. We need to develop an energy policy that is uniform, predictable, and long-term for economic success. We need to remove harsh regulatory restrictions on oil, gas research, and exploration. As a result, this will encourage economic growth, create U.S. jobs, and bring us back to the road of opportunity. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to pause for station identification to allow our affiliated stations to identify themselves. 3, 2. Welcome back.
Our next question will be asked by Kindolo and will be first answered by Mr. Romney.
Approximately 11.2 million undocumented immigrants were living in the United States in 2010. It is believed that today that number is even higher. Illegal immigration into the United States across the Mexican border continues as we speak. How would you change our immigration policy and fix the problems of illegal immigration that we face?
Thank you once again, Condola. I first want to speak for the Republican Party and say that we welcome legal immigration. However, illegal immigration is a problem that needs to be addressed. President Obama has failed to solve our immigration problems. Indeed, he has even failed to address them. As a candidate for president, he promised to tackle immigration in his first year in office. He broke that promise, and Mr. President, we're here to collect on that promise. As far as my immigration policy goes, I first and foremost want to secure our border. I want to create a high-tech fence and provide the necessary number of border patrol to finally secure our southern border. Also, furthermore, I would like to turn off the magnets that entice illegal immigrants to come to our country and stay here. I think I and Senator Santorum are on the same page with this. I want to start a tamper-proof employment verification system, such as E-Verify, that will enable employers to hire only those legally permitted to work in the United States. And as far as magnets go, I also oppose amnesty because I believe that it acts as a magnet encouraging illegal immigration. The last amnesty law passed allowed 2.7 illegal immigrants to come into the United States. I oppose that. And lastly, as president, I will enforce the law, unlike this president. I believe in the rule of law and I will fully enforce it. As governor, I authorize state police to assist in federal government and immigration enforcement. We need to secure our national borders and protect the United States. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you. First of all, America must be a nation of laws. Everyone should be here legally. America also is the land of immigrants, and our lives, economy, and history has been enriched by immigration. And it is essential that every native-born American and immigrant learn about this exceptional heritage and our exceptional history. I have 3 principles. The first, no one single comprehensive plan can work. Second, under no circumstance can a path to citizenship be created which would allow those who have broken the law to receive preference over those who have patiently waited in the legal system. And third, we must reconcile the goal of legality with the reality that there are millions of immigrants here outside of the law, to establish legality with the ones with deep ties and send home the criminal offenders. And I have a solution. We need to control our borders. Controlling the borders is a matter of resources and will. Unfortunately, we haven't brought any sense of urgency to controlling our borders, even as a drug-fueled war now rages in Mexico. And 2, We need to create a 21st century visa program. Americans will benefit from a fairer, more secure, more efficient system, which will ensure that foreign visitors, students, workers, and job creators alike provide as many positions, benefits as possible to our economy and society. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen. I appreciate it. As the son of an Italian immigrant, I value the important role immigrants have played and continue to play in shaping our nation. What separates America from any other nation is that anyone from any part of the world can become an American by embracing our ideals and by embracing our laws. For America to strengthen and prosper, developing a strong immigration policy must become a priority. First, we need to secure our border. Then tackle other aspects of immigration. Eventually, we will gain credibility with the American people. We need to expand the border fence fully where it's needed and increase our physical border control. I want to enforce immigration and labor laws. This includes an e-verify system that is simple, reliable, and protects American business. I will oppose all amnesty as unlawful, unfair to legal immigrants, and highly expensive to taxpayers. Thank you.
Congressman Hall, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, immigration is a matter of national security. A nation without borders is no nation at all. And it just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to fight terrorists abroad while leaving our front doors unlocked. Unfortunately, for far too long, neither major political party has had the courage to do what is necessary to tackle the problem. Instead, we are presented with the so-called solutions that involved amnesty proposals or further restricting American civil liberties through programs like Real ID. I oppose both of these schemes. I believe they will only make illegal immigration and matters associated with it worse. As president, I will work to implement the following reforms. I will work to enforce border security. We will abolish amnesty. We will abolish the welfare state and end birthright citizenship. We will protect lawful immigrants. As president, I will address immigration by fighting for effective solutions. Effective solutions that protect our nation and uphold the rule of law and respect every single American's civil liberties. Thank you.
We now move on. Our sixth question will be asked by Julie. Speaker Newt Gingrich will be the first to answer.
This question is directed to Speaker Newt Gingrich. Let's fast forward to March 2013. You've been elected president in November 2012 election and have now been in office for about 2 months. You received conclusive proof that Iran is about to finally obtain nuclear weapon capability. What do you do, Mr. President?
Thank you, Julie. There are a number of ways to be smart about Iran, and relatively a few ways to be dumb. And the Obama administration skipped all the ways to be smart. First of all, we will have a maximum covert operation to block and disrupt the Iranian nuclear program, including taking out their scientists and breaking up their systems. All of it covertly, all of it deniable. Second, we will work closely with the Israelis in a way that allows them to have a maximum their impact to Iran. Third, we need absolute strategic program comparable to what President Reagan, Pope John Paul II, and Margaret Thatcher did to the Soviet Union of every possible aspect short of war, of breaking the regime and bringing it down. And I agree entirely with Governor Romney. If in the end, despite all things, if the dictatorship persists, you have to take whatever steps are necessary to break its capacity to have nuclear weapons. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. Even if there was conclusive proof that Iran was to obtain a nuclear weapon, Iran will not obtain a nuclear weapon under my watch. I can assure you that. I will be working openly with the state of Israel, and I will be saying to those Iranians, you either open up those facilities, or we will make them available to inspectors, or we will degrade those facilities through airstrikes and make it very public that we are doing that. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Owen. I strongly disagree. We have to stress the need to go to Congress before taking any military action. I will never launch a preemptive strike on Iran. Why? Because they do not threaten our national security. If some other country thought they had to go to war with them, that is their business. Anyhow, there is no conclusive proof that Iran has any nuclear weapon. The solution? The solution is to do a lot less, a lot sooner. To mind our own business. Then we wouldn't be having any of this. Thank you.
Governor Romney, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. With all due respect, I disagree with Congressman Paul. It is unacceptable for Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. A nuclear Iran will pose an existential threat to Israel, whose security is a vital U.S. national interest. As Iran's ballistic missile capacity improves, it will endanger Europe and eventually the continental United States. As president, I will impose crippling sanctions on Iran. However, sanctions are not ends in themselves. There needs to be an understanding on Iran's part that a military option to deal with their nuclear program remains on the table. The United States should restore the regular presence of aircraft carrier task forces in both the Eastern Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf region simultaneously. The United States should also increase military coordination with our Middle Eastern allies in the region and conduct more naval exercises as a demonstration of both strength and resolve. As president, I will do this. Thank you.
Moving along, April will ask the next question, and it will be directed to Senator Santorum.
U.S. combat forces in Afghanistan are scheduled to be withdrawn by the end of 2014, at which time America's longest war will come to an end. In light of recent development in Afghanistan, should we withdraw our troops sooner?
Thank you, April. I appreciate the question. But there has been some troubling episodes in Afghanistan. But we have to either make the decision to make a full commitment to completing our mission, which our president has not done yet, or decide to get out, and probably get out sooner. I will consult with our military generals to discuss strategies for our American troops. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, we would have less danger if we did not occupy foreign countries. Because this is the top motivation for them to come over here and kill Americans. The best way to think about this is, what if another country did that to us? Every single American would be together. If the Chinese did this to us, no American would say, oh, that's okay. That's absolutely ridiculous. And then we go and think, we think that we are promoting the goodness of America. We simply cannot afford it. So we are setting ourselves up for a brutal economic collapse, because this is a significant amount of money per year. We spend $1 trillion per year maintaining an empire. So yes, we should come home from all of these countries. Thank you.
Governor Romney, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen. The acts of a deranged person are not going to shape America's foreign policy. We should, on a regular basis, reassess what's happening in Afghanistan, or any place for that matter, where we have kinetic activity going on. And I, as president, would do this on a regular basis. I would rely on advice from military commanders for my foreign policy in regards to Afghanistan. And it's time for us to bring our troops home. I believe it is time for us to bring our troops home, only when our military generals say it is okay to do so. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you like to respond to that question as well?
Yes. Fellow Americans, I fear the mission was one we're going to discover is not doable. We need to understand that being in the middle of countries like Afghanistan is probably counterproductive. We're not prepared to be ruthless enough to force them to change, and yet we are still clearly an alien presence. I think it's best to look at all options at this point. Thank you.
We now move on to our next question. This question will be asked by Ahmed Islam, and it will be directed to Congressman Paul.
Please help those voters who still have questions about each of you. Please tell us, what is the biggest misconception about you in the public debate right now?
Thank you. There are two huge misconceptions out there right now. I would say the perpetuation of the myth by the media that I can't win. When just recently in Iowa there was a poll of us 4 up against Obama, and guess what? I did the very best. The second huge misconception about me is that I, at 76, am too old to serve as president. Well, you know what?
I am prepared to challenge any of you to a 25-mile bike race right now. Let's see who's fit to be president.
Governor Romney, would you like to respond to that question?
Thank you, Owen. We've got to restore America's promise in this country, where people know that with hard work and education, that they're going to be secure and prosperous, and that their kids will have a brighter future than they've had.
Excuse me, Governor. The question is about a misconception. Is there a misconception about you in the public debate right now?
You know what? You get to ask the questions you want. I get to get the answers I want. Fair enough?
No disrespect, sir. No disrespect.
Okay. I spent 25 years in the private sector. I worked in business. I worked in helping turn around the Olympics. And I helped lead a state. I believe that kind of background and skill is what is essential to restore the American promise. If people think that there's something else in my background that is more important, if they don't want to vote for me, that's their right. But I believe that I have the passion, the commitment, and the skill to turn America around. And I believe that is what's needed. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you also like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you. I think the fact is that the American public are really desperate to find somebody who can solve real problems. And all I can say is that my background have actually worked with President Reagan. Having been Speaker, if there was one thing I wish the American people could know about me, it would be the amount of work it took to get a welfare reform, a balanced budget, a 4.2% unemployment rate, and that you got to have somebody who can actually get it done in Washington, not just describe it on the campaign trail. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you also like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, thank you. I think the one thing that I've heard in this election is, and I quote, "Can you defeat Barack Obama?" And if you look at everybody that's on this stage, we're all going to be running against the president. I just think people are looking for someone who can do a lot with little. Someone who could run a campaign on a shoestring and rise in the polls. That's what we need in Washington. Not just before the election, but after the election. Actually, you want to know the biggest misconception? The biggest misconception is that Romney is the best candidate. He's an etch and sketch character. An etch and sketch character.
You know, this is one of the few things I agree with Senator Santorum. Governor Romney is an etch-a-sketch character.
We now have time for several questions from the audience. I will now turn it over to Owen.
Thank you, Helen. Do we have any members of the audience that would like to ask a question? Anybody?
Hello, David Koba. I'm a student at Queensborough Community College, and you know there are problems in the American education system today. So, the average student who graduated from college in 2010 owed loans of $25,250, which was up 5% from the previous year. And less than 60% of students graduated four-year colleges after 6 years, and 1/3 of students from two-year colleges graduated after 3 years. A study by professors from Harvard University, Stanford University, and University of Munich show that in the issue of the fall 2011 Education Next, found that U.S. students ranked 32nd among industrialized nations in proficiency to math and 17 in reading. What would you do as president to address the problems that exist in the American educational system today?
Romney, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Helen. That was a very good question, Mr. Koba. I believe that the long-term strategy for getting America's economy back on track is ensuring a world-class education for American students. Global competitiveness begins in the classroom. In order to achieve this goal, students must have the skills to succeed in the workforce, ensuring that the promise of opportunity in this country remains strong. Part of an opportunity society is rewarding hard work and success. I believe education is the key to the American dream, and students must be encouraged to pursue that dream and work hard to achieve it. Post-secondary education cannot become a luxury for a few. Instead, all students should have the opportunity to attend a college that best suits their needs. Whether it is public or private, traditional or online, college must be available and affordable. Thank you.
Gingrich, would you like to respond?
Yes. Thank you for bringing up this question, as we are in a college. We must envision a 21st century system of lifetime learning, more flexible, more productive, more individualized, and more capable than any bureaucracy could achieve. The continued growth of American jobs and American prosperity in a knowledge-based, internet-connected, globally competitive world will be determined by the quality of American schools. If America is going to remain competitive with China and India in the 21st century, then we must commit to improving education, especially in math and science, and moving from a bureaucratic-dominated status quo to an innovation system that emphasizes accountability, transparency, and parental choice. We need to restore American history and values into the classroom. America is a learned civilization, and every American, including immigrants, should learn about American history and the principles of American self-government. As Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1820, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. Every student must learn to read, and much of what they read should reinforce American civilization. Thank you.
Mr. Santorum, would you like to respond?
Yes, Helen, thank you. I believe that education is the responsibility of the parent. Putting parents first is how best we put our students first. Parents have the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children, with local school systems supporting. As a homeschooler parent and a consumer of many different schools, I've learned the importance of flexible and personalized approaches to educate your child to their maximum potential. The problem is not that it's a federal one, it's a principally local one. Parents and citizens should hold schools accountable and have educational options for their children. Thank you.
Congressman Paul?
Yes, thank you. I believe no nation can remain free when the state has a greater influence over the knowledge and the values transmitted to our children than the family does. One-size-fits-all central plan simply does not work. As Congressman, I do believe, and I have been a consistent supporter of homeschooling and education and educational freedom. We need to put parents back in charge. As president, I will veto any legislation that encroaches on homeschooling parents' rights. We need to return the control of education to parents and teachers on a local level. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question from the audience.
Hello, my name is Andrew Kim and I'm a student in Queensborough Community College. I just have one simple question. On a lighter subject, I would like to ask each of these gentlemen, why you think your wife would make a great first lady? Thank you.
Mr. Romney, would you like to respond first?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. First and foremost, my wife couldn't make it here today, but I want to say that she is a mother, a champion, and a fighter. In 1998, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and more recently, she has been diagnosed with breast cancer. She has battled both successfully, though, and as First Lady, she will be able to reach out to people who are also struggling and suffering, and will be someone who shows both compassion and care. And she's also had a passion for her all throughout her adult life, with helping people in troubled situations, young women in particular. Help them understand the importance of getting married before they have babies and encouraging people to create families to raise kids in. And that is why I think my wife would be a great First Lady. Thank you.
Gingrich, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you. Let me say, first of all, having gotten to know them, I think all three of the wives represented here would be terrific First Ladies. Kalista, would you stand up, please? Kalista and I have gotten to know all three of them, and we think they'd be fabulous people. So I would rather just talk about why I like Kalista and why I like her to be First Lady. But she's not necessarily better in any way. These are wonderful people, and they would be wonderful First Ladies. But Kalista brings a couple of things. One is a tremendous artistic focus. She's done a video in music education. Why it really matters, she plays the piano by background and the French horn in a community band. Sings in the choir of the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. She really cares about the arts and would bring a really strong feeling for music education and for art, and why it matters to people as part of their education. Thank you.
Mr. Santorum?
I'd like to give a special minute and introduce my wife, Karen. Honey, if you could please stand up and wave to the audience. she's doing what she does incredibly well, which is to be a mother of our 7 children. She's my hero. She's someone you know who has been well educated. She was a neonatal intensive nurse in one of the most advanced nurseries in the country. She went on to get her law degree, but when she got married, she gave that up so she could deal with our children. And we've had 8 children together. We are blessed to be raising 7. We've been through a lot together. Losing a child, having a child with a disability, you know, our little Bella. She wrote a book about our son that we lost called Letters to Gabriel. It was about the ordeal that we had to go through. That book, that little book, has saved hundreds of lives. People read that book and realize that the child that we were carrying had the dignity to be loved and nurtured, regardless of the misfortunes that we faced. And so many children were born and are alive today because of that book. And that is why my wife, Karen, will be a great First Lady. Thank you.
Ron Paul?
Yes, I would love to. Let me say, my wife will be an excellent First Lady. Carol, honey, please get up. We have been married for 54 years, and on February 1st, we had our anniversary. She is the mother of 5 of our children, and she's a grandmother of our 18 grandchildren. She does an excellent job at what she does. She is also the author of a very famous book, the Ron Paul Cookbook. She's an excellent woman, and this is why I know she will be a perfect First Lady. Thank you.
I have a question.
I think we have time for one more question, do we?
I'm an unemployed mother. I am the 99%. I'm a single mom. I have no job, and you men have been attacking women and their rights.
We have a question, moderator? Up in the front? We have one more.
Please, tell me, explain yourselves. Why are you attacking women, and why are you voting against the Women's Violence Against Women Act? Please explain yourselves. I am the 99%.
Excuse me, ma'am. We're going to have to talk about this to further along how the amount of time that we have left. I'm really sorry about this, so could you just give us 1 minute? Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, after discussing with my fellow moderator, we have concluded that there is no more time left over for any further questions.
We'll now go back to the panel for our final questions. Thank you, Owen, for the last question. We now turn to Condola, who will direct the first question to Governor Romney.
I would like you to tell voters who are watching on TV or are here on this campus right now, why are you the one person on this stage that is best able to beat President Barack Obama in November?
Thank you, Condola. That's a great way to end this debate. The people of America recognize that this is a critical time. This is not just an average election. This is a time where we are going to decide whether America will remain the great hope of the 21st century, or whether this will be an American century, or instead, whether we'll continue to go down a path and become more like Europe and become a social welfare state. Because with the Obama administration, that is where we are headed today. Our economy is becoming weaker. The foundation of our future economy is becoming eroded. Government has become too large. We're headed in a very dangerous direction. I believe to get America back on track, we're going to have to have dramatic, fundamental, and extraordinary change in Washington to be able to allow the private sector
Governor
and
Romney,
not government.
Conclude your
Thank
statement.
you. Thank you. To allow the private sector to once again reemerge competitively. We need to get government out of the way and allow the private sector to flourish. Thank you.
Speaker Gingrich, would you have a response for this?
Yes.
I have participated in the two largest Republican sweeps in modern time, 1980 in the Reagan campaign, and 1994 with the contract with America, which had the largest one-party increase in American history, 9 million extra votes. I believe that what we need this fall is a big choice election that goes to the heart of who we are. I'm running more than anything for my two grandchildren, Maggie and Robert. I'd like to be able to look back 50 years from now and say that what we did, what we, the American people, did, the choice we made in 2012 to unleash the American people, to rebuild our country based on the core values, to pose for the American people a simple choice. Do you want freedom, independence, and a paycheck, and a job? Or do you want dependence and big government and food stamps and a lack of a future? Thank you.
Senator Santorum, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, Owen, I appreciate it. I agree with the previous speakers that this is a big election. And it's an election about fundamental freedom. It's about who America is going to be. I wasn't for the Wall Street bailouts, as most of my supporters know. Governor Romney, he supported those bailouts. He voted for a government to come in and bail out the private sectors of the economy. And President Obama, his speeches lead with manufacturing. Why? Because those are the people Reagan was able to get, the blue-collar Americans. He has a plan for them, but it's not work, and it's not opportunity, it's dependency. So our president, he went on with leading with manufacturing, but that has been the center point of my campaign. The center point of my campaign is to win the industrial heartland and get those Reagan Democrats talking about building.
Senator, please conclude with your statement.
Talking about building that ladder of success all the way down so people can climb all the way up. Thank you.
Congressman Paul, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes, thank you. Let me start off by saying America is the greatest nation in human history. Our respect for individual liberty, free markets, and limited constitutional government produced the strongest, most prosperous country in the world. But we have drifted. We have drifted far away from our founding principles. And America is in crisis. My plan to restore America slams on the brakes and puts America on a return to a constitutional government. It is bold but achievable. Through the bully pulpit of the presidency, the power of the veto, and most importantly, the united voice of freedom-loving Americans, we can implement fundamental reforms. I am the only candidate with a plan to cut spending and truly balance the budget. This is the only plan that will deliver America and America's needs in these difficult times. Major regulatory relief.
Congressman Paul, please conclude with your statement.
Yes, thank you. Large spending cuts, monetary policy, and a balanced budget. Thank you.
Our debate. I would like to thank all our candidates for being here and our panel of journalists to come here today. Special thank you to our audience for attending tonight. We hope you found it enjoyable and informative.
Once again, we urge everyone who has the right to vote to register to vote. You need to register if you have never registered before, you have moved since you last voted, you would like to change your party affiliation, you have changed your name since you last voted. The presidential primary is April 24th, 2012 in New York. The state primary election is September 11th, 2012. The general election is November 6th, 2012. The last day to register for the presidential primary is tomorrow, March 30th. And to be allowed to vote in the presidential primary on April 24th, you must register by tomorrow. That means You must have your form. It must be postmarked or hand-delivered to the Board of Elections by tomorrow. We have a table set up outside to help you register right here this afternoon. Thank you.
I'm jumping off script for a moment. I apologize, but I did want to acknowledge the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs from the City University of New York, Mr. Chris Rosa. Thank you so much for joining us.
We would now like to introduce the members of the mock trial team who have brought you this mock debate today.
First, I would like to introduce the wives of our candidates. Mrs. Newt Gingrich, Natalie Callejas. Mrs. Rick Santorum, Dalia Berospi. Mrs. Ron Paul, Gabriela Gomez.
I would now like to introduce our panel of distinguished journalists, Mr. Kandola Singh, Ms. Julianne Belaski, Mr. Maroshik, and Mr. Ahmed Islam.
Our candidates today, Governor Mitt Romney, played by Anthony Rivera. Speaker Newt Gingrich was played by Jace Dunn. Senator Rick Santorum was placed by Benga Omotade.
And now our student questionnaires. I'm sorry.
Our last Congressman Ron Paul was played by Shirley Aguilar.
Our student questionnaires from the audience, Mr. David Koba, Mr. Anwar Kasim, Mr. Andrew Kim, and Mr. Sam Mishra.
Our faculty advisors, Professor Kelly Ford, Professor Leslie Francis, Professor Stephen Hamill, and Professor Ted Rosen.
And of course, my co-moderator, Owen Yan.
And of course, my co-moderator, Helen Kwok.
Thank you, and I would like to again make a special thanks to Mr. Jonas Valek for being here, and also the president of the college, Ms. Diane Call.
Thank you. Please join us outside for a reception inside the atrium.